I want to quickly point out the features of the design shell that the Quality Assurance team at New Mexico State University Alamogordo has put together. And the reason we put this shell together was to help our faculty as they design their online courses. When we first began this process, it became apparent that there were a lot of things that every single course would have that would be very similar in the Start Here module. Therefore, we designed a Start Here module that overall works for just about any course with some minor modifications. First of all, the front page is the online template, is what we call it. Every single course on our campus must use this front page, and they go in and make the adjustments here. Below this little gray line, I know that's kind of hard to see, and above this, the first point of contact statement, the instructor's allowed to put anything in there that he or she wants. But above that and below that must remain the same for every course. We find that this allows all of our students to start all of their online courses exactly the same, and it makes it easier for them to know what to do when they go into the course. From there, the overall shell is optional to our faculty, but we find that the majority who design a course want and use this design shell. So the majority of it is right here under our Start Here course welcome. And you may not be using Canvas, but it doesn't matter. You could make a similar type Start Here module in whatever LMS you use. So here we just have a general Start Here statement. The instructor's welcome to use this one or change it. And from there we go to the course welcome, and anything highlighted in yellow would need to be changed to be appropriate to the course and the instructor. Now for me, my course welcome is a video, and I strongly encourage all of my faculty to use a video. Video allows your students to see you when they get to know you as a person. They're more likely to be more engaged in the course than if they think they're taking the course from a computer. So they would just go into edit and modify this for their own needs. And then we go through and we have a course navigation page. Now, some faculty use this one, and what I've done, I've gone through and defined everything in Canvas. And what the instructors have to do is go in and delete or change the location of these so they exactly model what they have here. Also, I encourage faculty at times to do a video here and do a screen capture like I'm doing right now. The next page of our design shell includes our course overview and course objectives, and an explanation of how will the objectives be met. Depending on how that's worded, sometimes it can help in meeting standards 2.4 and 4.2. Anyway, they just go in, edit, put their own information. Here's some necessary skills. Prerequisite, what prerequisites are required. Here's a statement about writing skills. And I have a lot of writing in my online courses. Some courses may or may not, but the reality is if it's an online course, it's probably going to have writing. So that's a general statement that most of our courses can use. The technical skills, notice that I've given some of the common ones, and then I have that yellow stating you need to add here what yours are. And then add all other skills that the student might need to be successful. Required materials, give the text, give any other required materials. And then here are also the required technology requirements. And these are pretty generic for most of our courses. the instructors can also go in there and add to that. Course and institutional policies. There are various institutional policies that we all use, and I have a link right here to our student handbook so that all faculty can have access to that. And then course policies, and I've just included some of mine, but of course the expectation is that they'll take and modify these so that they are relevant to their course. And then here, because there's not really a good place for it, here's where we've added our privacy policies. I've gone ahead and added Canvas and YouTube because those are the most common. And then I make sure, there's a statement down there that they need to make sure and add any external tools that require any type of login, the privacy policies to those. On the next page, we have support services, and again, this is very generic. It has our online support services and a link to those, our academic support center. This page meets 7, 1, 2, 3, and 4. One of the things that you need to know about 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4, they not only want a link to those, but they want an explanation of how they can be used. And thus, this explanation pretty much works for all the various courses. And then here's also where we have, right under our accessibility services statement, we have the accessibility statements for technology. And I've listed some common ones that probably we're all going to utilize in our course. And then, of course, I have down there in yellow the statement that they must add the accessibility statements for any other technology that's utilized in their course. The next is the course structure. This is just a recommended. Here are the different modules within the course. Here's what my modules include. You need to change this to what yours include. And I give a general overview. For an online course to truly be successful, there needs to be some routine in it. Students need to know what to do every single week. And basically my course has a very set structure that makes it very easy for students to follow through. So this is the information from one of my courses, and of course it would completely change for all faculty, but it gives them an example of what to put there. And then the grading. What do you want your students to know about grading? The next thing we have, student-instructor interaction. And instructor interaction meets one of the QM standards, but we've gone ahead and added student interaction. What interaction is expected of the student? For my course, it's to participate in the discussion forums, to ask questions in the communication lounge, which is a help forum, to respond to grade comments, to complete the collaborative project, and to complete the assignment activities each week. And then my interaction, I will read and comment on various discussion forums. I will respond to the help forum, which is the communication lounge. I will, how quickly I will grade assignments. That statement is meets another QM standard. You have to tell specifically when students can expect to get their grades. When will I respond to emails? And the fact that I will post announcements each week. And then here's where a copy of the syllabus would be included. So the student would have it and would know to download that and to print it. And I have actually put a copy of my syllabus in. So I would take the other page down, and instead I have an actual copy of my syllabus. Here's where a course schedule could go. It could either be put on a page. I simply upload it as a PDF just like the syllabus is uploaded. Then here's a page for Netiquette expectations. These are mine, but they're supposed to put their own in its place. And then next I have an introduction discussion, and that's one of the requirements of Quality Matters. So I just set it up here in red and yellow, says change this, make it your own. And then I also include an information and syllabus quiz. If you don't include an information and syllabus quiz that students have to score 100% on before they can continue, it's really important that at least you have some type of statement where they're saying, I have gone through the Start Here module, I have a copy of the syllabus, and I understand what's covered there. You need something so later on when a student says, I didn't know that, you have proof that they completed that, or at least said that they completed it. And then the last page of the Start Here module tells them the next steps. What do you need to do from here? Of course, for mine, you can see there it's begin Module 1. It will not let them go on to Module 1 until they've opened up every single page of the Start Here module, which I really like about the Canvas LMS. It gives me the option of, I don't know if they've read it, but I at least know they've opened it up. And then they also have to make a perfect score on that little quiz. So that's our design shell. You know, possibly you could do something similar. Like I said, we found it extremely beneficial to our faculty. We were all doing the same thing. Now, a lot of the information's there. Accessibility statements, privacy policies, links to various things. Sometimes the problem is that once you get the shell set up, you as a faculty member forget that you need to go through and update it each semester and make sure that all those links work. But I hope this gives you a good example of how you can utilize a design shell or template to help in meeting the Quality Matters standards, but also help your faculty be more successful in designing a course.